Welcome to the show. We've got a great show for you. We are going to learn more about the film industry moving to Mississippi with the film commissioner of the great state of Mississippi, Mr. Ward Emling. He's with us here on our program tonight. And also Tony Pasko, the musician from Meridian, who does all the music for the great cable program, Duck Dynasty. He's here. He's going to perform, and we're going to talk to Tony. All of this coming up next. Stay with us.
We'll be right back with more of Nightique after these messages.
This is our Gray's Box. It's a great way to snack. Fresh, tasty, and created using only the best ingredients. Choose from our range of over 90 delicious snacks. We'd like to invite you to try a hand-picked box for free. Go to grays.com and we'll send a free box directly to your office or home. It may even help you keep your hand out of the cookie jar.
Go to grays.com and enter the code GRAYS34 for a free box.
Grays.com. Snacking reinvented.
And now back to more Nightique.
Well, Tony Pasko has been with us a number of times on the show, and welcome back.
Thank you.
You know,
Appreciate it.
You are doing something that's pretty extraordinary. You're the writer of the music for Duck Dynasty and a number, how many other?
17.
17
shows I've
17 network shows, including
cable
network shows, including
MSNBC.
HBO, right?
Yeah, just recently.
Just
yes.
recently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of an extraordinary thing that you've found yourself involved in, and you're operating from Meridian, out of Meridian.
Yes.
Okay. What we're going to talk about tonight is how you work with the students in the schools and such, teaching music, right?
Yeah, with the success I've had, you know, I've had schools ask me to come and talk to the kids and kind of show them what I do, and you know, all these kids watch, they know all these shows and stuff. So it's opened those kind of doors, and I appreciate it. I'm musicians are the type of people we're all about giving back. You know, you have to pay it forward, and I have had people help me when I was starting out, so I feel very responsible to kind of carry that torch if I have any success or popularity.
Well, this is a lot for a kid to understand. I mean, not only is this you know, learning how to play and the idea of learning how to play an instrument and music in general, but now one more layer, writing songs for a television show. I mean, it's like, it's a lot to process when you're a little guy, you know, or girl.
Well, kids today, you know, they're advanced, they're technical. Yeah. They're way more than I am. So I have to go into the situation thinking, okay, they know more than I do when it comes to the technical aspect.
Yeah, good point.
So, I don't speak to them really about that because they already know it. What I come in and I try to inspire is, you know, everything they have access on their computers is they're pushing buttons. You know, they're getting rid of writing in schools now, you know, so, because everything is pushing buttons. How music is made, you grab a loop, you put it in, you loop it, you know, records are made that way now on computers. But someone's got to make that loop, somebody's got to create the music part of it, and what I try to go in, it's sometimes, and maybe it is a little old-fashioned to go in with an acoustic guitar, it's not amplified, it's not digital, there's nothing, you know what I mean? It's just a piece of wood and some strings, you know? And you have to physically know where to place your fingers in your hand and stuff like that. So I try to show them that try to inspire them to get that love of music, to play whatever instrument they want to do, because this is a lifelong pursuit. This is something that, yes, you can do for a living, and very few of us do. But I think it's something that it helps in so many other areas. Like, I was painfully shy as a little kid, like painfully shy. Music brought me out of my shell. Music, you know, helped me, you know, be a little more socially accepted. There's a cool factor, especially guitar. There's a cool factor with it. You know what I mean? That's why they use it so much in advertising. So for kids, you know, they have all these things now where you plug your guitar into your computer and they teach you how to play and this and then. They try to digitize it, and I think what they need to do is just inspire them to the point of why they want to learn this music.
I would just wonder if it would be so cool to be a musician, a guitar player, and a singer and such, if the Beatles had never occurred. Because, you know, I can remember, you know, at the time, I mean, it was like a cultural explosion.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It was like, boom, everybody wanted to be in a band. And Elvis.
There are literally millions and millions of musicians that exist today because they saw Elvis.
That's right.
Sing, dance, strum a guitar.
That's right.
You know, for me, Jimi Hendrix. I saw Jimi Hendrix. I didn't even know this thing existed. My dad was a musician, but I didn't take it like, whatever. You know, that's just something he did. Right. When I saw Jimi Hendrix, I was like, okay, whatever that is, I want to be that. I want to do that.
That was a revolutionary time.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was, because I remember, you know, being a Jimi Hendrix fan, and you know, up until that point, if you look at the cultural makeup of the country and how people gravitated to different types of stimuli, for example, it was like Muhammad Ali, it was Jimi Hendrix. Suddenly, you had black men in the mainstream, where white audiences looked at that and said, "Wow, man, that's the greatest." You know, it was like connection. Heretofore, in the grandparents' era, you know, it was like separate. You know, things were more separated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like.
Well, and kids today don't have. See, back then, when you were into rock and roll, that was the anti-culture.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
You know, now music is a marketing tool. It's not. There's no anti-culture. That's why. And I'm not a huge fan of rap, but I understand it. I appreciate it for what it is, because when it came about, it was an anti-culture to what was going on.
But you know, like you were saying, I mean, everything was an anti-culture at one time. Elvis was an anti-culture.
Right.
You know,
they couldn't film
rock and roll in
They
general.
couldn't film them below the waist and all that. I mean,
right.
and there's nothing cooler than telling a kid he can't do something.
That's exactly
And
right.
that's why, if anything, now when I go into the schools and stuff, I try to inspire them and just say, listen, this is a cool thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the computers, it's all that other stuff that we see is the mainstream. You know, have a little rock and roll in your soul. You know what I mean? It's that little rebellion thing, and we're losing that as a culture, because everybody's so right or left or this or that, and don't be that. Be your own thing. You know what I mean? And unfortunately nowadays, we're not taught to be individuals anymore. We're taught to follow whatever group. And I like to go in and say, listen, forget that. Do your own thing. Play how you want to play. Have your hair the way you want to have it. Dress the way you want to dress. And who cares about everybody else? Because that's how trends are started, by one guy saying, you know what? I don't agree with that. I'm going to do my own thing. Buddy Holly started a revolution, you know what I mean? Because he was, you know, I don't know if it was ignorance or brilliance or whatever. Bob Dylan. They did what they did. The reason why those guys are those guys is because they didn't care about going with where everyone else. When everyone else turned left, they went right, and they just instinctively went that way. Elvis was another guy. You know what I mean? There's those certain icons, and I want to inspire kids today, because you know they don't have those. You know, we've unfortunately, a lot of our icons have all died, and they have these histories and these pasts, and they do a documentary about them, and you find out every little ugly thing about their lives instead of this thing that you built up in your head. I remember looking at posters in my room, and I remember having a Black Sabbath poster, and my cousin telling me how Tony Iommi had these little rubber things on his fingers, and he used to play because he lost the tips of his finger, and I'm thinking, but there was no internet at the time. I had no way of finding out if that was true or if he was pulling my leg. It was this myth, you know? But I held on to it for years. I had no idea, and I'm thinking, how does he play like that with these things? And it ended up being partially true. You know, he did have these things on there. But you know, nowadays everyone Googles it. They get the information.
Right.
Maybe that's a good thing because they're getting the right information right out of the gate. But it also dispels those myths. It drove me to want to do something and to be this person and be this kind of person, you know, and be a musician.
So around the state, we're in a number of markets. If a particular school wants to bring Tony Pasko in and teach the kids or make a speech or whatever, it's Tony Pasko, PASKO.com. That's your
and you can reach
site.
me through my website and everything. And again, at the end of the day, I really do promote, you know, the music, learning how to read, taking it serious enough, giving yourself a chance. I like to tell kids, give yourself every reason to succeed. We have so many excuses now with everything, and we're taught that, you know, oh, if you came in third, at least you tried. You know what I mean? Well, you know, with music, it doesn't work that way. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. The longer you practice, the better you will get. It's just that simple. And that seems to not be how a lot of us are taught to do things. And I feel grateful to have parents like I had, that when I wanted to finish practicing, my dad said, no, another 10 minutes. Work that out. You could do better.
Right.
You know,
so important,
yeah. And so and if I can be that little bit of a lightning rod for a kid who was thinking, well, maybe I want to play drums or sing, or, you know what I mean? And here was one person, there was this guy, because I remember in 8th grade, the saxophone player from the movie The Blues Brothers, you know, the guy with the long hair and he came and talked at our school. And he was the coolest guy I ever seen. Here was like a real musician. I mean, my dad was too, but you know, he was my dad. You know what I mean? Here was a guy I saw in the movie. He was a professional musician. He was in the Blues Brothers. And he was this like laid back, real musician guy. And I remember, and he reminded me like all my dad's friends and stuff. And I remember thinking, going, I want to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy someday. I want to be that kind of musician where I could go all over the world, and whatever I choose, whatever this thing takes me, I can fit in. I have, you know, and musicians have their own language, and we have our own thing. And I wanted to be that. That inspired me, and I'm still doing it today. And it's because I'm not a natural musician. It doesn't come easy to me. I work very hard at it. I practice every day. You know, people are like, oh, you're a great guitar player. And it's like, well, no, I'm really not. But what you're hearing is the end result of, you know, thousands, millions of hours of practice.
Well, so. It's a remarkable story and continued success.
Thank you.
Mr.
I appreciate
Tony
it.
Pasko.
Thank you for having me out.
Yeah, man. We want to have you back regularly. So
Great. Thank you.
We'll keep track of your career, what you're doing.
Thanks.
And it's TonyPasko.com.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us, and we'll be back after this.
We'll be right back with more of Nightique after these messages.
This is our Gray's Box. It's a great way to snack. Fresh, tasty, and created using only the best ingredients. Choose from our range of over 90 delicious snacks. We'd like to invite you to try a hand-picked box for free. Go to grays.com and we'll send a free box directly to your office or home. It may even help you keep your hand out of the cookie jar.
Go to grays.com and enter the code GRAYS34 for a free box.
Grays.com. Snacking. Reinvented.
Bengal presents From One Legend to Another.
Good day. I must say I've deduced that Bengal roach spray is a superior product. It's kept all traces of those vile creatures from my home, which lets me focus on more meaningful pursuits.
People trust Bengal Roach Spray's legendary performance. No odor, no mess, no roaches. Bengal Roach Spray really works.
With Bengal, I love having a little more me time.
Ingalls Shipbuilding has pioneered the development and production of technologically advanced, highly capable warships for the U.S. Navy, Coast Guard, and Marine Corps for more than 75 years. Ingalls is Mississippi's largest manufacturing employer. And today, Ingalls has an immediate need for more than 200 electricians at our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Apply today at www.buildyourcareer.com or call 888-935-1507.
And now back to more Nightique. We'll be right back with more of Nightique after these messages.
Your on-air career journey begins at broadcastdemo.tv. Both recent graduates as well as seasoned news and weather veterans need an updated and fresh demo tape to apply for those on-air positions across the country. At broadcastdemo.tv, a one-day visit to our WeatherVision studio, and you'll have an HD and digitally edited demo tape that you'll be proud of. Broadcastdemo.tv. Invest in yourself.
When you are looking to further your education, there's only one university that towers above the rest, Jackson State University. Jackson State University is one of the leading universities in research, technology, and innovation, graduating more than 1,300 students annually and a consistent growth in revenue. Jackson State University is ranked #1 amongst the HBCUs in research and development. Make the right choice, the one choice, one Jackson State University, changing lives one student at a time.
Ingalls Shipbuilding has pioneered the development and production of technologically advanced, highly capable warships for the U.S. Navy, Coast Guard, and Marine Corps for more than 75 years. Ingalls is Mississippi's largest manufacturing employer, and today Ingalls has an immediate need for more than 200 electricians at our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Apply today at www.buildyourcareer.com or call 888-935-1507.
This is our Gray's Box. It's a great way to snack. Fresh, tasty, and created using only the best ingredients. Choose from our range of over 90 delicious snacks. We'd like to invite you to try a hand-picked box for free. Go to grays.com and we'll send a free box directly to your office or home. It may even help you keep your hand out of the cookie jar.
Go to grays.com and enter the code GRAYS34 for a free box.
Grays.com. Snacking. Reinvented.
And now back to more Nightique.
Ward Emling back with us. Ward, thank you for coming again.
Sure.
And,
good to be here, of course.
You know, there's so much activity regarding film shoots in Mississippi. You had 14 films in 2014.
We had 19.
19
Yeah,
films
19 films.
produced around the state.
Crazy.
A record. And now we've got a proliferation of film festivals also. So tell us about some of the things going on upcoming.
Yeah, and we've had, festivals have grown. We had just a few for a while, and now we have them all over the state. We've got a few coming up, and actually 2 on the coast coming up in October. Sun and Sand Film Festival, which is, I think this is its 3rd year. And it's in Gulfport. And it starts, I think it's the 9th through the 19th of October.
10 days.
Yeah, they have a lot of films. They do mostly films in the evenings. They'll do some panel discussions and workshops through the week. And then there's Fear Fet, which is the following, which is that second weekend, and it's horror films, mostly horror films, and it's fascinating. I mean, it's a terrific film festival, and it's at the Gulf Coast Coliseum. And they have a trade show, kind of a trade show that goes with it. I mean, last year they had the cast of the 25th anniversary of Pet Sematary, so they had the cast there, and then they had R2-D2, and they had Lloyd Kaufman from Troma was there.
Wow.
They do a really, really great job, Fear Fet, and so they're next weekend, in October the 16th through the 18th, I believe. And so, we just had one in Grenada. And of course, we've got the Mississippi International Film Festival coming up in November.
November 14th.
November 14th.
msfilm.org.
And, and we love the film festivals because they give our folks an opportunity to have their films seen, and they give us an opportunity to show films that were made in Mississippi, and sometimes give them their first public screening, which we're doing at Mississippi International, that festival that you have something to do with. And so Dixieland will be there, and which is pretty exciting. And and some of we had some of these films that were shot on the coast last year are going to be at Sun and Sand. So it's the festivals have become, as our films have increased, the festivals have seen the benefit of these smaller independent films coming there, bringing an audience of people who were, were in those films.
Last year when we did the, I guess, 2014 Mississippi International Film Festival, it's in Pearl at Tinseltown. I remember there were maybe 2 or 3 films simultaneously filming around the area.
Yeah, yeah.
And these were, big productions, relatively so. And that was sort of an interesting thing. In fact, some of the cast or producers, directors came to the festival as they were shooting, locally during that time.
Yeah, and we have more. We've got 2 things filming now and 2 things that will be prepping by November. So there'll be more, producers and people involved with productions.
Yeah, it must be
at Mississippi International.
It must be a good feeling after all these years. How long have you been film commissioner?
25 years this time around.
Okay, so
yeah,
I know things have changed so much since you began that position.
Since my hair disappeared and my beard got gray. Yeah,
I mean, you've seen the whole schlemiel from the beginning to now. You've seen the development of it all, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed dramatically from when I was first around. Because when I started, and I also did this in the early 80s, I ran the film office, and then I moved to Los Angeles and then moved back. It really used to be about location. And now, I started, there were no fax machines or cell phones or overnight mail. I mean, when I first started doing this, it was crazy. But the biggest change has been the advent of incentives, people treating this like an industry and recognizing that it is an industry. And so, the curious thing about that, because for a long time in the early part of this, of 2000s, really people were just going to places because the incentive, and if your incentive wasn't equal to those states that had the same types of locations, you weren't going to get many calls. Now that our incentive is essentially cash equivalent to Louisiana and Georgia and all that we're getting a lot more films that are on locations that we've never really had to scout that much. Small towns and all that kind of stuff. We've always had to do that, but all of a sudden we're getting, we had a Western last year. We had 3 or 4 movies that were set in Texas. We had, we had a movie earlier this year that was set in Lake Tahoe. Another movie earlier this year that was set in the Bahamas. And so we're out there finding new locations that we've never had to really scout before. So that what the incentives have done in getting kind of equalizing the playing field, they've made locations more important again. So, so that's been interesting. That's been very interesting for us to be able to scout with new eyes, to look at new things and look for more modern things, or look for something that might be New York or Baltimore or somewhere like that. There's still a lot of focus on local crew. And that's one of the things that we really are starting to work hard on.
So for viewers around the state who might want to be involved in the film industry as a member of a crew, your website would be a portal that they can learn more about that, right?
Right. If you have experience, you can sign up, you can get your name listed in our database. And that's, and our website's www.filmmississippi.org, and that's all spelled out, filmmississippi.org. And if you have experience, if you have credits on a film or television, then you can get listed into our database, into our real crew database, and it's there on the website. But you can also like us on Facebook and get our and sign up to get our newsletter, and all of our casting announcements and all of our crew announcements go out through that.
Through Facebook?
Yeah, through Facebook and through our newsletter. And so even if you don't have an experience, that can offer you the opportunity to get in front of a producer or a director, and
and that's the way to do it. Just get involved and get in front of people. It's the only way to get started.
It's the only way. a long time ago, in 1973. They were making a movie in Natchez, Mississippi, and I went down to audition for it. And I got in as an extra, as most of us will do. But then I also got a job. They were looking for people in their wardrobe department. So I spent the summer working in the wardrobe department for that film. And, that's why I'm here. I don't know where I am today, Edward, if that doesn't happen. You know, I don't know what I'm doing. Probably, if I'm sitting here talking to you, I don't know what we're talking about, but that's the opportunity. That gave me the opportunity to get involved in this industry. Right. And that was in 1973. So, and we know Nina Parikh and Betty Black and Bill Webb and that's the film office. We know that that type of opportunity can happen on every film. We expect that it'll happen on every film. That if a film comes to town, somebody is going to have an opportunity that they never thought they would have. Yeah. So we love that.
That's great. Well, Ward, thank you, and we are appreciative that you came by, and we want you to come back again soon, okay?
You ask me, and I will come back.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Join us every weeknight statewide for Nightique with Edward St. Pé. If you have suggestions for guests or want to be on the show yourself, drop us a line at www.nightique.com. I'm your announcer, Jim Pollard. Good night from all of us at Nightique.